everyone, welcome to another session with me. Today we're going to learn about a very important topic, which is what are the different types of benches. So first of all, let me clarify, the benches of the Supreme Court are not divided geographically, but they are divided on the basis of the subject matter and on the according to the roster of the court. So what am I saying? Okay, number one. Have you heard of some states in India that are very big geographically? For example, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. In these states, the High Court actually sits in more than one cities. For example, in Madhya Pradesh, the principal bench of the High Court is in Jabalpur, but because it's a very big state, they have set up another court in Indore and one more court in Gwalior. So therefore, there are three benches of the Madhya Pradesh High Court, the principal bench in Jabalpur and two other benches in Indore and Gwalior. So this is what I mean geographical benches. Today we are not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about benches when it comes to the division of subject matter in the court. So specifically talking about the Supreme Court of India, there are different types of benches. Now the word bench, what does it actually mean? Bench here would mean the number of judges or the seat that decides the case. So bench is more like a respected word that we allot to the name of judges or to the number of judges that decide our case. For example, judge or justice. This is a word that is about that particular post or designation. And bench is the decider of your case. Okay, so that way maybe you can simply understand it. Anyway, so moving forward, bench means how many judges are going to listen to your case. So for example, if there are approximately 41 or 42 judges in the Supreme Court of India, not all the judges are going to sit in one room together and listen to the cases. Similarly, even this will not happen that every judge will sit alone in 40 different rooms and listen to cases. All the 41 judges in the Supreme Court are divided in such a manner that there are around 10 to 12 courts. Okay, so let me clarify this for the few. Let's say there are 10 judges, okay. So for 10 judges, we will need 10 separate courtrooms and they will sit separately, each one alone, and listen to different types of cases. For example, judge number 1 will listen to criminal cases, judge number 2 will listen to taxation matter, judge number 4 will listen to special leave petition, judge number 3 will listen to special leave petition, or judge number 4 will listen to public interest litigations. But depending on how important, severe or complicated the matter is, sometimes instead of one judge listening to one category of cases in one single courtroom, 2 or more judges sit together and listen to more complicated issues together, and then they decide the final judgment of the court based on the decision of majority judges. So let's say there is a very important public interest litigation. Instead of one judge sitting in a single room, 3 judges will sit together. This will be called a 3-judge bench, and the 3 judges will listen to the case from the arguments of both the lawyers and both the parties. Then the 3 of them will decide their individual judgment. For example, judge 1 decides in the favor of party A. However, judge 2 decides in the favor of party B, and judge 3 also decides in the favor of party B. So the final decision of the case will be that party B has won the matter because majority are in favor of party B. I hope that's clear. This is like basics. So, what are the common types of benches in the Supreme Court, and in what all combinations do judges sit together and decide the cases? So, these are four words that I think all of you should know, especially when you're planning to be law students in the future. Number one, what is a single bench? As the name suggests, only one judge of the court sits in a particular matter in a particular courtroom, hears the case, and the case is decided by a single judge. Then it's called a single bench judgment, or when the matter is referred to only one judge, it's called that the matter is being referred to a single bench. So when only one judge alone listens to a case and decides it, it's called, because it's a one judge bench, it's called a single bench. A division bench consists of two judges. So when two judges sit together, decide a case, discuss it, and then take a common decision, it's called the decision given by a division bench. So if there are two judges listening to a case, that particular bench is a division bench. Now, if let's say there are three judges sitting together, then it's given the name of the number. Like for example, it's a 3-judge bench, it's a 4-judge bench, or it's a 5-judge bench, that way. But if there are, let's say, 5 or 7 judges sitting together, it is usually done in constitutional cases. Now, what are constitutional cases and what is a constitution bench? So number one, let's go with this definition. Let's look at the word constitution bench first. A constitution bench means when a matter comes to the court where a decision has to be taken as to the interpretation of the constitution. So, जो question of law है, जो court में discuss किया जा रहा है, the question is related to the substantial question of law related to the constitution or interpretation of the constitution. A simple example could be cases related to fundamental rights or cases related to federal structure in India. For example, KS Puttasamy. So that is a case where whether we have a right to privacy or not, that is being discussed. The Aadhaar card controversy, or cases about whether there is a basic structure doctrine in India or not. So these cases where 5, 7, 13, 9, 11 judges are sitting together and they're discussing a matter. So this is usually a larger bench. Okay, 2 or 3 judges don't constitute a constitution bench. They don't form a constitution bench. Constitution bench is usually more than 5 or more than 5 judges. And the issue, the case always revolves around a very important question of the interpretation of constitution. All right, so then it becomes a constitution bench case. So whenever you hear a word about a constitution bench, this is basically what it means. For example, recently you must have heard that the Supreme Court has decided that some of the cases of the Supreme Court of India, the hearings in some of the cases will be live streamed for the general population to see. The initial plan is to live stream some cases and some hearings on YouTube, and then after a point they will create a separate platform for Supreme Court hearings to be live streamed. Now, in the initial decision, it has been decided that only constitution bench hearings will be live streamed. So that means only cases that are of extreme importance to people in the country. For example, cases relating to interpretation of freedom of religion, or cases relating to interpretation of Article 21, or the relationship between central government and state government, as it's called the federal structure of India. So such constitution cases which involve a crucial question of interpretation of the constitution or a question of law about the constitution, these cases will be live streamed. So therefore you need to know what constitution benches are, and I hope with this explanation it's quite clear to you. So the last thing that you need to know is a full bench. So as the name suggests, if it ever happens that all the judges of the Supreme Court sit together, all 20 judges or 40 judges or whatever is the strength of the Supreme Court at any given time, if all the judges sit together, if that ever happens, then this would be called a full bench. All right, so we have a single bench, we have a division bench, we have constitution bench, we have full benches. Now all right, so that is a full bench. Now you know, single bench, division bench, constitution bench, and full benches. Now there is also something that's very important and you need to know, is a hierarchy among the benches. Okay, so how does this work? Let's say I file a case in the court. My question is, do we have right to privacy in India? And basically two parties file a case, and this is the case that's gone to the court, and this is the question that the judges are discussing, and both the parties, the lawyers, everybody's arguing on that. My case is heard by judges in the year 2005, and when my case is heard in the Supreme Court, it was sent to a division bench, and the final decision was that since it's not specifically mentioned in the constitution, and because we have previous precedents and some landmark judgments which are very vague about right to privacy, so let's say the final decision was given that no, we do not have right to privacy in India. I'm like, okay, so this is the final decision, the case is over, matter is done, completed. Now after a few years, a similar case goes to the Supreme Court, and now this question again comes up, do we have a right to privacy in India? And the Chief Justice of India or the judges in the Supreme Court are convinced that this matter needs to be discussed further, that it was not properly discussed in the particular case, or there have been some huge changes since the past 10-15 years and this matter needs to be revisited. And now, because there were two judges that decided the case in the year 2005, now if we want to discuss this case further, and if we want to come to a solution, let's say the answer is yes or the answer is no, but if this new case and the decision of the new case has to be applicable to the whole country and has to make some sense and has to overrule, has to change the decision taken by the old case, now the number of judges sitting in the new case has to be higher than the number of judges that decided this matter in the past. So let's say in the year 2022, this kind of case or this kind of question again goes to the Supreme Court. Now, in order to take up this issue, minimum 3 judges have to decide it. Okay? So, if in the year 2022, 3 judges decide that yes, we have right to privacy, then it's finally applicable. Then we can say, okay, this is the law, this is the rule that we have right to privacy. Now we've gotten a new fundamental right, that is right to privacy. So only when an old decision is changed by more number of judges, only then it becomes applicable. Only then the old decision is overruled. For example, if in the year 2022, the same matter goes to the court, but only one judge is listening to the case and he or she decides that yes, we have a right to privacy, you tell me what will prevail. What will we accept? Will we accept the 2005 decision, or are we going to accept the 2022 decision? The 2005 decision was given by 2 judges. The 2022 decision was given by 1 judge. The 2005 decision was an old decision. The 2022 decision is a new decision. So in this particular matter, the old decision will be followed because it was given by more number of judges. So hierarchy among benches is decided by which bench is larger. The decision of a larger bench has more importance, relevance and supremacy over the decision of a smaller bench. So if in the year 2005, two judges said that we don't have a right to privacy, but in the year 2022, after many years, one judge says we have a right to privacy, we will still listen to the old judgment. Next example, in the year 2005, two judges decide that no, we don't have a right to privacy, but in the year 2022, three judges decide that yes, we have a right to privacy, then we are going to listen to this. So this is how hierarchy among the benches is decided, and this is how we decide whether a decision is going to be overruled or not, whether a new decision has come into force or not. So it totally depends on the number of judges in a particular bench. So I hope this was extremely helpful for you, and this helped you in understanding a lot of the concepts. And basically this is a very important information that almost everyone should know, and especially when you're aspiring to be law students, or you're preparing for law entrance examination, or even currently studying in different law schools. This information becomes very important for you to understand, and that further helps you get a good grasp of different Supreme Court judgments and decisions and what is basically happening and going on. So yeah, that's all guys. This is from my side on the benches of the Supreme Court. My name is Aayushi Rajput and I'm an educator at Unacademy. And this was the end of the session guys. Bye-bye.